Welcome, welcome. Hey guys, can you guys just type something in the chat so I can know you guys can hear me? You can't hear me? Okay. One person can hear me, one person can't hear me. I will start off by saying I'm a little sick, so my voice is gonna be like this, unfortunately. So sorry, guys. This should be a fun one though. This is something I'm really passionate about. I think the last one did really well. Um, and hopefully, I mean, if you guys are into credit or look interested in building your credit, this is going to explain how that works, why it works the way it does. Right. So I'll give it a little bit more. Um, Last time I was talking about it, a lot of people wanted to join, so I'm not sure why we have such a low turnout, to be honest. It'll be a quick one too. And if people want to catch this on recording, that's fine. But this is really important just because at the end of the day, credit runs the world, right? So I'll give it one more minute and then we'll get started. I don't care how many people are in here. And definitely want to make this one interactive. So if you guys have personal questions regarding your personal credit score, I'll be more than happy to answer that for you guys. Hey, Rodrigo, thank you for coming. All right, guys, I'll get started. Let's put this in slideshow mode. Actually, we can keep it. So you guys can see the slide share, right? I just want to make sure you guys can see this correctly. The building personal credit before I keep going. Yep, awesome. Awesome. So ultimately, credit is a very complicated thing. And is this lecture? Yeah, it's gonna be posted after. And there's another one that's recorded too. So like if you guys gotta go, you gotta go, right? I personally believe credit is made complicated on purpose. It's made complicated on purpose because it's probably one of the most important things outside of like your social security number. Credit is everything, right? If you're trying to rent a house, if you're trying to rent an apartment, if you're trying to finance a car, if shoot, some jobs will run credit checks on you, right? That's how important credits are, right? So overall, in this lecture, we're gonna go, what is credit, how it's measured, why it affects us, good versus bad debt, credit cards, and then credit history. There's gonna be a little bit more things between there. And like I said, it's gonna be a pretty short lecture, so just pay attention. If not, we can go back and watch the reviews. I'm also gonna be very candid, show you guys my personal credit score. And I just realized it actually went down due to something that I did when I was a lot younger, and it's still affecting me till this day. And that's why credit is so important because something that you do, let's say when you're 21, 18, can affect you. I'm 29 now, can affect you, 10 years later, right? So that's why it's really important. And you guys have to really take care of it. So the FICO score, right? That's what we're going to be looking at. So in the 1950s, engineer William Fair and a mathematician Earl Isaac, they created a standard system of assessing someone's credit worthiness based on impartial scoring system. Originally known as the Fair Isaac Company, today is the FICO score. It debuted in 1989 and is a scale from 300 to 850. FICO score is based on payment history, amounts owed, lengths of credit history, types of credit used, and recent credit inquiries. And we're going to break into each single one of those because think of a credit score like a pie, and it's built up of those four, five, even six different pieces. And if you're not completing that whole pie for that 100%, your credit score is not going to go up, right? So there is a lot of things that go into what makes your credit score go up and down, depending on those four or five things, right? So the score itself, obviously, we have 800 and above, which is exceptional, very good, 740 to 399. Personally, anywhere from 739 up to 800, you're fine. you're more than good. If your credit score is within that range, you're going to get approved for everything. You're going to get the best interest rates. I know that there is this anomaly, right? Where you're like, hey, I want to be in the 800 and above club. Personally, I think it's stupid. There's very, very little people that actually have an 800 and above credit score. And most of those people aren't really using their credit cards in the way they're supposed to. They're not really borrowing or leveraging things. So don't get caught up in trying to get to the 800 club because that's not really what matters. I think maintaining anywhere from a 735 to an 800 is more than fine. And then even from the 670 and above, you're fine, right? Anywhere below 670, 650, you should really start paying attention to your credit score. Now, you might be saying, Mario, I'm new. My credit score is not that high. I'm still starting. That's okay. Tony, who you guys probably all know inside of the Discord, he actually started with a credit score of 500 when he was really young. And I think now he's actually in the 800 club if the last time I spoke to him, right? So it takes time. Understand that timing is going to affect your credit score. And we're going to also teach you guys how to build it or different ways to leverage ways for you to increase that as we go. So the different credit bureaus that you're going to see Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. Ultimately, these are all just different credit bureaus, and you can usually check your credit score for free via the bank or credit card company that you're using. Personally, don't spend money. I know there's companies out there that's like, find out what your credit score is, like pay X. Don't do that. There's too many free amounts of ways to check your credit, right? So don't worry about that. So what affects credit? And I think this is where we're going to get into the minutia of things, guys. So the big ones are payment history, credit utilization, which is I think the most crazy one, and then the credit mix, right? So let's get into those. I think I talked about the 800 club, so I'm not really gonna get into it, right? Understand, I think I'll leave it with this caveat. Understand that your credit score is going to be constantly fluctuating. And I'm going to show you guys my actual credit score and how it's been fluctuating over the past, I think now 12 years of me having an active credit score, right? So if your credit score is actively flowing, don't worry. It's not the end of the world. You can always fix it, right? So don't take that one personal. We can make it up. So payment history. Payment history is one of the many factors that makes up about 35%. Remember, we're going back to that pie example, right? It makes up about 35% of your FICO score. This includes paying your bills in the past, making sure you've never missed a payment and that you're paying on time. Make sure that there's no collections on your account and make sure you have no delinquent accounts. This actually happened to me when I was younger. And this is why, again, please, please, please protect your credit at all times. I um I bought this course. It was like a mental course. I don't even know how to call it. It's just like a business course with a buddy of mine, and I was giving him money, and I put my social security down as well. Well, this motherfucker was not using that money to pay off the course. Next thing you know, I get a call from collections. Hey, you owe 1,000 or whatever, how much money I owed. And that was negatively affecting my credit because I had something in collections at the time that I didn't even know about, right? So this is why it is important to go into your payment or into your credit history and look. It's like, hey, do I have stuff that's outstanding? There's been a lot of theft in credit. Pay attention. Or is your credit card overspending stuff that you're not, actually doing, right? So that's where I really want you guys to be paying attention to this. This one's key because I know I've missed a couple payments. It happens from time to time. Now I just have them on automatic. But a payment is only considered late on your history, right? It's within your history. You're probably still going to receive a late payment or a late fee from your bank. But if it's 30 days past due, right? So that's going to be the key for it to actually show up on your account is if it's past 30 days. Now, to actually build up the credit score, this is going to be a little bit of mix of utilization and payment history. When you guys are paying your bills, you're not going to pay it outstanding overall, depending on what your goals are, right? I don't pay my credit card out in full. I know a lot of people were asking, it's like, well, I normally just pay off my credit card 100%. No, what you need to do is you pay your statement, your current statement that is due. because the credit card companies actually want to see that you guys are able and capable of holding a credit line, right? And I'll go into this in utilization, but payment history again makes up 35% of this. Does this make sense so far, guys? I just need to see like a thumbs up or something. And this is an example here. This is old. This is from the last one I did, right? Like making sure, just an example, like, hey, I'm paying off all my credit card bills on time. This is what I call good and bad debt. This is where we get into the utilization, and this is where it gets really fucking tricky, guys. Um, so credit utilization is another key factor in how your credit is measured. This makes about 30%, right? The other one was 35. This is 30%. This means how much money, um, Christian, you say you can't, can everyone else hear? Or is it just Christian that I can't hear? I want to make sure before I keep continuing. You're good. Okay, cool. Um, So this means how much money do you owe on your current revolving open-ended accounts? I recommend to stay under 30% utilization across all your cards. FICO says anything less than 7% is considered a high achiever in their eyes. A credit mix makes up 10% score, which is what the FICO looks at, like how much other debts that you have. And we're going to get into the mix of credit cards, right? But this is what I'm showing you here in this chart. This is my actual credit utilization. I literally screenshotted this before I did and if you look at it, right, there's been changes throughout my credit usage. I was down to 12, 35. And this is why I recommend you guys check. So, and this is what's been leading to my credit score getting fucked up. So if you notice, February 23rd, it spiked up 35%. Why is my credit utilization jumping up to 35%? Well, my mom actually uses one of my credit cards. It's under her name, but it's still tied to my social security, so it's going to affect my credit directly. My uncle's getting married. She put $13,000 on one of the credit cards, and that credit card is getting maxed out on a lot higher. Well, I started digging even more, and I actually have another credit card that I took out under my cousin. So my cousin's credit card is damn near maxed out. But because I am a associated user, or I'm trying to think of like the right word, but essentially I fall under that. His overutilization is directly affecting my credit usage, right? And this is why I need you guys to be careful when it comes to who you let people borrow your credit. You know, people are always like, "Oh, let me can you buy the car and put it under your name?" Man, unless it's someone you really love, and even then, right, really trust, you guys need to be really careful when it comes to borrowing credit because it can directly affect, how much your credit score is or how high your credit score is, right? So just keep that in mind. As long as you're under 30%, you're fine. I'm currently sitting at 35, which is why it's negative. Authorized user. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm an authorized user under my cousin, and I am going to go close that card out because that is really, really negatively affecting my credit utilization, right? It's negatively impacting, and I'll show you guys. Hard pull versus soft pull. I think these are terms that are constantly being thrown around, and a lot of people don't really understand like what makes up a hard and a soft pull. So I think the three basic ones is anytime you apply for a new credit card, anytime you apply for a mortgage, anytime you apply for a loan, anytime you're borrowing money, right? You're going to get a hard pull, or it's also known as an inquiry. It's also, this is why when you're starting off new, you're a lot of people, what they'll do is like they'll try to get as many credit cards as they can because like one of them got rejected and they get rejected again, they get rejected again. That doesn't look good to the banks. That doesn't look good on your credit score overall because every time they're pulling your information, you're getting hit, right? And it makes you look desperate to these companies. It makes you look desperate to the banks, and they don't want you if you have all of these hard inquiries on your credit card. I know that happened to me once where I opened a credit card, and then I opened another one. I was like, oh, I have amazing credit. I have like a 750 credit card score. They'll instantly approve me. I was wrong. because because I just opened a credit card and then I tried opening up another one, they were like, hey, this is a red flag. Why is he trying to open so many credit cards at once, right? So that's also something to take into consideration. I think I was talking to Zach, and Zach was like, my credit went down. And I was like, he's like, I just got a new credit card. And I was like, well, when did you get the credit card? And he was like, today. And I was like, well, no shit, dude. Like you're gonna get like a hard pull every time you get a new credit card, right? So that's pretty much a given. A soft pull is when you guys are getting background checks, when you're checking your own credit. This will not affect you in a negative way whatsoever. So don't worry about soft pulls. And then ultimately, how do you get rid of a hard pull? It takes time, right? It's gonna take time to get those out. I think there are specific other ways if you're trying to get rid of like really, really bad hard inquiries, but that might be for another conversation. Does that make sense? Because I know some people get confused about those. I'll get into examples. So I kind of talked about it. Mortgage applications, auto loan applications, credit card applications, student loan, personal loan, apartment rental applications. Essentially, any time that you're like applying for something or that you're borrowing money, those are all going to be put into the hard pulls or hard inquiries, right? Soft inquiries is like checking your own credit score, pre-qualified credit card offers. So sometimes you'll get sometimes you're going to get like I don't want to call it a coupon. Like I have Chase, right? So I like using Chase, and Chase will send me an email. It's like, hey, you're pre-qualified for this credit card. Well, if it's pre-qualified, that means they're not going to run a credit check on you because they already pre-qualified you, right? So you're not going to have to worry about that hard inquiry. Again, like a hard inquiry isn't really going to take down your credit by that much. But if you don't want it, you can definitely go around it by having these pre-qualified credit cards. Pre-qualified insurance quotes, anything with pre-qualified, and then employment verification and background checks. Again, some people don't believe me, but I've been at companies where they will pull your credit and do when they do background checks, they're looking at your credit score, right? Because you can find a lot of information that way. All right, I know I'm going through this fast, but you guys can get the recording after if you need any specific information. Credit history. Um, so this is the last factor of it overall. This makes about 15% of your FICO score. Here's the fucked up thing about credit, and this is why the whole credit game is just fucked up in general. This applies to the oldest card open, your oldest credit card open, or the longest credit account open. If that means, let's say you got a student loan before you got a credit card, that is where your credit information is going to be coming from. In this case, I have credit cards. So like if you opened one at 18, don't close it because what ends up happening is that is your credit history. It starts from that card. The moment that that card is closed, your credit history changes, right? If it's possible, don't close it. If you're like, hey, I don't like this card, this is not a good card, try downgrading it first to a free card. This way, you guys don't, have to pay about the fees. And ultimately, if you have to close it, then that's ultimately going to be your decision. Mine accidentally closed because I didn't use it. It was dormant and ended up getting closed. So now I have another credit card that was like the second oldest that ends up becoming now my oldest credit card, right? And this is what the credit history is based off of. It's not based on payments. So I think that's where people get confused, right? Is credit history the same as credit card payments? No, this is like legit length, like time. And this is what I'm going to show you guys, right? It literally says right here, May 5th, 2022, your credit first credit card was closed. Right? So like this one was closed. This on the right hand, what you guys see there is my actual credit like length in time. So the average of my accounts is 7 years, but my oldest account is over 12 years and 7 months, right? Which puts me in the good category. They just want to see that you have been able to handle having credit for a very long time because that just means you're trustworthy. At the end of the day, yes, these companies make money off of you with fees and other stuff like that. but they're still taking a risk at lending money because if it doesn't come back, then that's a risk on them, right? So as long as you guys um, keep that account open, that will make your credit history get longer and longer and longer, and that will get you your score to go higher. This is the mix, the credit mix that I was talking about. I probably should have put this a little bit earlier. But essentially, like this is the different types of debts that you're going to see: car payments, mortgage payments, student loans, credit card payments, um, apartment rentals. Those are all considered different forms of credit, different forms of debt. And the weird thing is these companies, these credit companies literally want you to have a plethora or a mix. They want you to have a mortgage. They want you to have a car payment. They want you to have a credit card bill. Because they don't want it just to see like I don't have a mortgage. I don't have a car payment. A lot of my stuff's already paid off. So all I have to go off of is my credit cards, and that literally negatively affects my payment. So if this ever happens to you where you're like, finally paid off my student loan, finally paid off my car payments, right? And then your credit score downs, it goes down, and you're like, wait, what's happening? Why is my credit score going down? It's because the companies want to see a mix of credit, which I think is the most ridiculous thing in the world, because it literally means you have to be in debt in order for you to have a good credit, right? And this is the difference between good and bad debts is understanding that you have to have a mix. Now, does this mean, Mario, I only have credit cards? Should I go and get a mortgage and a car? No, right? Live within your means. Don't over leverage yourself, but understand that if you ever see your credit score go down because of you paying off stuff, this is why they want to see that credit mix there, right? So just understand that this is why I think ultimately is what I want to say. But then also like on the flip side, if you have too many accounts open, then they're like, oh, this guy's risky. He has too many forms of debt. He has too many forms of risk. So we don't want to work with him. We're going to put his score down. So like it's like this perfect balance that you're always, and this is why I really urge you guys, don't get caught up in the 800 club. Don't get caught up if your credit score is fluctuating, because there's a lot of things that go into the system that can cause your credit score to go down or up in fast amounts that you'll see right here in a second. Um, so like this is again, this is real. This is a real screenshot that I took of mine, and you can see I have 6 credit cards open. I don't have any loans. I don't have any mortgages. I don't have any other, right? So maybe if you go into your credit mix, my credit could possibly be higher if I had a loan, if I had a mortgage, if I had other. I just don't need it. I like paying off my shit, right? So thankfully, I don't have to worry about these type of situations. I recommend you guys go check yours. If you have too many, start working on a plan to pay some stuff off to lower that, and vice versa. So if you're new and you're like, Mario, how do I increase credit? I think the easiest way, and I think the way that my parents did it for me, is you can you can literally get a cosign, right? You can get cosigns or be an authorized user. This can go into many levels. It can be as simple as your mom co-signing you and you opening up your first credit card. There's other forms where it's like it's almost like a debt credit card where you like pay $500 and then your limit is $500, so that like if you can't exceed the $500, right? The authorized user, or another one's like I didn't have credit at the time when I bought my first car, so like my auntie put her name down, and I was paying everything on time, and I was getting my credit to get increased that way as well. Hold up, we have a question. How long should I wait to close a credit card if I don't need it anymore? Rodrigo, that really depends on you, and also depends on like the type of credit card it is, right? Like if it's a high fee card that is just you're paying it and you're not using it, then I would probably cancel it. If if it's your oldest credit card, as we mentioned earlier, right? Credit history is important, so we need to pay attention to that. Try considering downgrading that card if you can to a lower tier, so where you're not having to pay annual payments on that, and just keep that alive so you can keep your credit history going longer. Just understand that every time you close a credit card, you are going to get hit. Your credit score is going to go down, but that will recuperate, right? So ultimately, it's a personal decision. I'm not going to be the person here to be like, hey, go close that. It really depends on your situation. Go look at your credit score. Go look at your other credit cards and your other different. Oh yeah, I fucking hate the store credit cards, dude. Is there an annual fee on it? If there's an annual fee, no, just leave it there. Just leave it and it'll close out on its own. Just like if you don't use it for a while, like it'll just close out on its own. You're gonna get the hit regardless. Um, but if it's your oldest card, keep it. And if not, just leave it there. Or I mean, if you don't want to see it, like let's say you have too many credit cards open, you're like, hey, this is too much, then close it as well. And the prepaid cards is what I was talking. It's like we're used to deposit as collateral and just going to your local bank. Having, I know some banks are like, if you're actively a consumer in that bank, they're more than likely to give you a credit card because they've seen that you are capable of handling money within their system, which is ultimately what they want to see. And this is me just being transparent with the team. So on the left, you actually see my credit score at 728. I had a minus 52 change at that time. And I think it's because again, I had a really high balance at the time. I use my credit cards a lot. I'm constantly running them. So I have a lot of money flowing in and out of them at all times. And then the most recent one here on the right is 694. You're like, yo, that's a huge difference. Again, like I don't like being in the 600s. I think anything above, again, as long as you're in the 700s, you're going to be fine. Why this happened? Again, those two things, being attached to my cousin's account and him being over leveraged on his own credit cards, but because I'm an authorized user, it's counting towards my utilization. And then my mom over using her credit card, even though we have the money to pay off that card, the company doesn't like me having that overutilization, so it has been causing me to drop my credit score overall. So yeah, hopefully I'll be fixing these in the next couple months. So but that's about it, guys. Like I said, this is a very, very quick lecture. If you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to stick around to answer any credit questions. If you're like, hey Mario, I have a personal credit question, hit me up in my DMs. I'll be more than happy to chat with you guys there and give you my advice and my personal opinion on maybe some things that if you don't feel comfortable about talking them here. If not, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I'll see you guys tomorrow. And thank you guys for stopping by.